Okay, so who are you?
I'm Eugene Chan. I work at PolicyLink, and I'm the Chief Information Officer here.
Why did you decide to participate in Changemaker Bootcamp?
I think two main reasons. One is to sort of set up a practice of being more mindful both at personal life as well as work. So trying to find a little bit more of a set of practices I could use to balance the needs I have among both. And the other is that it's always good. I don't have enough self-reflective and group setting time at work, and so it's to have something on the calendar that kind of that I can budget for and I can get out of my office to help me be a better both contributor to work as well as home is the main reason, and also that I generally like what you do.
What were your expectations about the whole process moving forward?
About the boot camp?
Yeah, before you started.
Surprisingly enough, I didn't have a ton of expectations. I knew that there would be these exercises. I knew there was a little bit of mystery related to them. I had a sort of internal commitment to sort of say yes and just jump in. I also knew that I'd be meeting some really other interesting people, which is true, and that I would have an opportunity to kind of guide my own learning related to certain types of things that you were going to emphasize. How to have difficult conversations, how to ask the right questions, how to set goals. So that stuff I knew and was sort of glad to see manifest. And then there were other things that were, more just unexpected and it was useful to experience in real time.
Like what? What were some of those things?
I'm fascinated and amazed by the cohort. It was really a good bunch of people. I'd say down the line, I think by the fourth or fifth class, I think, the group really coalesced and was almost in the mix as much as you were, which I thought was a really good experience. So that's one thing. The other was, I think your practice of getting us just to repeat things, because I think even if you practice stuff, I think repetitive practice helps, and I don't think I realized that quite as much until you said, "Oh, do it again. Oh, do it again." Because difficult things get easier with practice.
What were your big takeaways from the whole experience?
Big takeaways. I'd say first and foremost is that intentionality matters, and sort of systems and practices can be very powerful if you commit to doing them. And so I really like the model of bootcamp, which is that there are a series of exercises. The exercises can be, sort of independent, but they can also be done collaboratively. They can also be done in a repetitive sort of process. So I like the kind of modular aspect to it, but the big takeaway really is that, you practice and self-reflection really help improve what you want to get out of a goal.
Was there something that you thought could have been better?
I think a couple things. One is, some of our cohort, didn't kind of join in until the second or third.
Week 3, yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was a missed opportunity. It's really nice, I think, to start together at week 1 and then kind of go through the process. I feel like we would have really gelled by the second or third week if that was the case, but it really took till 4th or 5th. And then by the time it was sort of felt like, oh yeah, it sort of was ending. And even though we're gonna, I think, still do, continue the group, it's not the same environment. It's not the same kind of interaction. That's one. The second is related to, I picked a project that was much more individual focus and also internal focus. And in hindsight, even though I think that's super valuable and was sort of the right thing that I needed, kind of going through this, I sort of think that something that's more external and sort of had some sort of group dynamics or group element is probably still a better boot camp for people, or a better project for people to pick when going through the boot camp. At some point you may consider another type of boot camp for people that are doing kind of individual self-learning or self-improvement type of things, and maybe you sort of set that intentionality. And you didn't dissuade, but I think you made it pretty clear that this was really about collaborative and group dynamics. So I don't, it's not a knock on that. It's just more that I do think that some of the exercises, it ended up being not quite applicable, because it's like, a meeting of one. Well, so that would be the things I would say, oh yeah, if I'd known, I would have changed those.
Okay. How would you describe Changemaker Bootcamp to others now that you've experienced it?
It is a regular check-in space for people that are interested in being, I would say, better advocates for themselves and the work that they're doing.
Would you do it again?
Yeah.
Would you recommend it to others?
Yeah, I think so. It has to be the right person. And, I think, your network, your circles, I think, attracts a certain type of person. So I think individuals coming through people who know you or people who know someone who knows you, I think they're going to sort of fall into a self-selective process where they're going to be biased towards understanding and being open to what you are putting out there. I think that as you change and grow the model, like for instance, if you do it for companies and organizations where individuals are not self-selecting into it, it's teams that someone may be self-selecting, but other people may not be. You may find a little bit more resistance. I do think that because everyone, is already self-aware enough that they want to be more self-aware, you're going to get a group of people who are open, who are willing, who kind of like the stuff, who are willing to help other people, really motivated to support others and kind of be a learning community.
Okay. So if you were to recommend bootcamp to someone who you felt like fit all of those different categories, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that take it seriously, prioritize it, be thoughtful even before you sign up about how you want to change a practice in your life. And the practice can manifest itself in terms of a project, but the project is in some ways almost irrelevant. It is like, how do you apply it? What do you do? How do you measure the results? How do you think about growing? And that if you don't, if a person's not willing to put that stuff in, it's going to be less useful. I think that's one thing. The other is just, I wonder, how much you can create a community even before day one, so like whether there's exercises or questions that can be answered even before the group meets for the first time, that might be useful. So in that vein, not necessarily the survey questions, but I wonder if there was, the cooler or some other things which might be opened up in a way that allows for introduction and get to know each other a little bit, but doesn't, is not the same necessarily as all the trust building that needs to happen during the actual meetings.
Got it. Okay. Do you have any final thoughts? Anything on your mind that you didn't get to say that you want to say about your whole experience or about bootcamp in general?
No, I think it was a good experience. It was, I was not 100% sure what it was about, and I like that you were tweaking it, kind of almost in real time. I'm curious to know how much you tweaked it because of who was in the room versus, or the size or the number. I keep thinking about how to extend the value of it beyond the physical meetings, whether it's for folks that are done and go after, or folks who can't get into it, because of physical or time or other constraints. It's an interesting model. I think I like your goal and your mission for it, and I think that it's sort of a new way or a different way of looking at how teams can work, or projects can get done in a way that much more collaborative than oftentimes people are used to.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.